Values of the terms of a geometric sequence G sub n are graphed in the figure. Which of the following is an expression for the nth term of the geometric sequence? So we should memorize the geometric sequence formula, which is G sub n equals the first term, so G sub 1, times the common ratio to the n minus 1. So this is something you have to memorize. So here, this is the first term, G sub 1. So let's go ahead and look for the first term. So if you look over here, the x-axis, that's the n, which means these are the term numbers. So this is the first term, this is the second term, so on. So what do we have as our first term? Our first term here is 8. So first term here is 8. Our second term here is 4. And so using this idea, this is how we're going to find our common ratio. So our common ratio is the second term divided by the first term. So the second term divided by the first term. And so our common ratio is half. You could also just look at it as numbers, right? So if I had 8 to begin with and then I got a 4, how did the number change? It multiplied by half, or it divided by 2. So that's what we mean by the common ratio half. So far, let me go ahead and plug this in. We have that the second term is the first term, which is 8, times the common ratio, and look over here, this is my n, so I plug it into n, 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1, so 1/2 to the 1 power is still 1/2, and half of 8 is 4, and you can see that the second term was 4, so that formula worked. And so I would say that this would be my formula, right? But it's not in the choices. So I have to figure out what can match with my situation here. Well, I already know my common ratio is half, so it can't be B. And if you look over here, 16 is not my first term, so I'm not going to look at that. And I know 8 is my first term, so it's either a choice here or here. So let's see what's going on. So I'm going to plug in my situation. So I know that when I plug in over here, G, and let's say the second term, 4 times 1/2 to the n, so n I'm going to plug in just like I see it in the formula, 2 minus 2. 2 minus 2 is 0, and anything to the 0 power is 1, so 4 times 1 is 4. And if I check back to my second term, it was 4, so that worked. Now let's see if it works for choice C. So if I have the second term that I'm focused on, 8 times 1/2 to the, remember you're plugging in 2 for n, and so 1/2 squared is 1/4, and 1/4 of 8 is 2, but the second term was not 2, so it's choice A.